Welcome back. You're watching NewsX. I'm Rishabh Gulati. Ladies and gentlemen, in this country, there was a time, some time ago, where certain areas in the heart of central and east India were made inaccessible. When train operators used to try to exit that area as fast as possible, where driving through was a no-no, where a separate administrative machinery almost was working, taking toll taxes from people traversing or goods traversing via the highways, where weaponry was available, and where a de facto terrorist war was being waged. We have seen unthinkable things. We've seen leaderships of a state administration, political party members gunned down in a stroke in an ambush, shot in their own cars. We've seen ambushes of security forces and cavalcades. Is it different today? Now, you'll be aware that the Home Minister has come out and made a statement yesterday that in Chhattisgarh, in a search operation, 30 of these Maoists, aka Naxalites, have been neutralized. He's also said that he's confident that with 1,200 other arrests that have been made, it is in the realm of possibility that we can potentially see a Maoist attack free, a Maoist territory free India in the next year or two. Let's open up this conversation. RVS Bani is joining us on the broadcast. He's been in the Ministry of Home Affairs. I have Vicky Nanjappa with us as well, Major General KK Sinha with us as well. General Sinha, let me begin this conversation with you, because I'm sure that the Home Minister says this with some degree of thought, not an idle boast, that he says it because he feels informed by the security forces that indeed we are making a major dent in Maoist bases. What do you think?
Good evening and Jai Hind, Rishabh. Very nice to be with you back after some time.
Good to have you,
sir. You asked a very important question that, the Home Minister has, from the puddle of, in Parliament, he has spoken with confidence, and think, he has also the reality behind it. You are talking about the Red Corridor. The Red Corridor, because I did my thesis when I was doing my National Defence College in 2010. I did a thesis on a left-wing extremism and terrorism, call it, which is Maoism or Naxal. And I have just been back from Odisha and Chhattisgarh, especially Dantewada area. So I have seen both, the timings, and I have carried out a deep research. So I have got a knowledge which I am speaking. In my ground visit last month, Dantewada I had been roaming around in the night. It was impossible. I have been into the Kalahandi area of, Odisha. I have been roaming in that area absolutely night, absolutely free. The terrorism or left-wing terrorism, 180 district used to be in 2000, shrunk to 25 district in 2021, and now I think it's just left to the 2 district of basically in Chhattisgarh area, which the area, which the Home Minister was referring. See, absolutely, it is a ground check, and with my deep interest in this, subject, because of my thesis, I can assure you that exactly what he is saying is, and I think it is just a matter of 6 months. He has given a time frame of 2 years. If you see the whole area, there are many factors. Urban Naxal, I'll start with that, because those are the factors which was contributing towards this. Because weapon, money, movement, everything was coming from there, and they had infiltrated into the political system of ours. They were actually deciding who will come in power, especially in these areas, which has changed, especially after the Odisha, the change of guard which has taken place over there. See, in Nepal, because it started when you say Maoism, so this is happened to the left wing, and it was very active for basically from that area and also from Kerala side when things were reaching. At Red Corridor, when we define whether we talk at Bihar, whether you talk of Bengal, whether in Jharkhand, Odisha, Chhattisgarh, Karnataka, Andhra, and then reaching right up to the complete belt. It has taken, daunting time.
Okay.
Lot of effort, lot of sacrifice.
Okay, so let's put aside the ideology for something, for a minute, because there is a physicality to the problem which has been there since in my entire lifetime. Okay. This was always there. Bharat, Naxal Mukt Bharat Abhiyan, RVS money, who would have thought this was could have actually been possible? It seemed that the best we could do was containment. We accepted the fact that these corridors were sort of governing entities of their own, levying toll tax, getting arms and ammunition, smuggling was happening, you name it, recruitment was taking place, indoctrination was taking place for so many decades. Is it actually possible? 31st March 2026, Bharat, Naxal Mukt Bharat. Mr. Mani, yes. Can we get his audio, please? Whoever is in PCR. Thank you. We can hear you now. Go ahead.
Indeed, it is very much possible, and that is Sinha highlighted certain very important, very, very salient points. I would take it from there. Forget about indoctrination. It is the earnestness of. I always stand by the view that the security forces are as good as the political leadership allows them to be, and that is what is there. When 2009 or 2010. Brain loads of people used to be taken from here by a American national Indian journalist and his wife, or sponsored, or where they are getting their money is a big question not yet answered. A doctor who would refuse treatment to CRPF forces but would certainly hold Naxal strategy meetings was made advisor to the planning commission. I would leave it to the people to guess the name. This is the type of earnestness, and again I have written it very highly in the book, that in my own book, that when the police arms were snatched, there was no court of inquiry. In Gadchiroli, the adjacent area, Gondia, Gadchiroli, back to Dantewada, then thereafter you come to Narayanpura, Kanked, all those areas. I know the area, I have traveled. When the police arms were seized, there was no court of inquiry, and the government used to get away like that. That police, this thing were found by the central paramilitary forces in the hands of Naxalites being used against them. These are all facts, and that's the reason I say in 2014 onwards, this is presently what we are reaping is the investment made right from 2014 onwards, right from giving better equipments, better on the physical ground side, better equipment, better mobility, etc., much better than what it was in 2006. So there are lesser number of ambushes do happen because they are deep rooted. It has been going on for almost 25 years. By 2014, but later on there's a lot of investment. There is a de-radicalization. There, in fact, the Ministry of Home Affairs has a very specific division now, though it was not there earlier, called desk called de-radicalization. They have also worked on this, meeting people, community services, heads of government. There are so many things happening. Physical empowerment of the central paramilitary forces and including the state forces are one factor. So it's a holistic approach, and if you see that the budgets have gone up, the security related expenditure is being released in time. Okay. The more important is released in time, not diverted to any under the police organization.
Is it your reasonable assessment also, RVS money, that it is now just 2 districts in and around Bijapur, Kanker, where these current actions are taking place, and if indeed we have arrested 1200 of them, and now about 30 or so have been killed in these encounters, we've lost one of the Jawans as well, that actually we are at the end zone. So there are almost no one left.
Even Kanker also, the public support has regressed. It has almost gone. So they would not be finding it easy to get the network, the advanced movement of the paramilitary forces. Yes, Bijapur is basically one kind
Yeah,
of a
so
headquarters
I
of
want to
that.
qualify public support, because public support sometimes is driven at the point of the barrel of the gun as well. If you have no option other than, because you are living in this area, to hand over your children to be recruited because they will kill you otherwise or kill them otherwise, what do you do? So I'll caveat that. Let me get Vicky Nanjappa into this conversation. Mr. Nanjappa, what do you make of the situation?
See, I am actually, I mean, if you look at the way in which the operations are being carried out, the deadline of March 2026, which the Home Minister has spoken about, I'm actually quite optimistic that it would get over, the problem would be over much before that. I mean, at the pace and the rate which they're going, and the word that, this ruthless operation against Naxalites. That is one thing. And in this thing, let me just divert slightly. We need to give a lot of credit also to the Ministry of Roads and Transports, because, of the kind of infrastructure that has been put up, the connectivity, so that the forces can move easily, and there is so much of development work happening. So that whole idea that romanticism of naxalism does not exist within those villages, and these villages are not scared because there are security forces. But I will tell you one thing is that I'm very confident that this problem will get over much before March 2026. And in the same context, I would like to draw your attention to this emergency meeting that was held by our NSA, Mr. Ajit Doval, because, in the wake of the situation which is going on in Bangladesh, and during that meeting in Kolkata, he actually made a point is that do keep an eye on these fugitive Naxalites, because there are quite a few of them there who are, sitting quiet and things like that. So that would also be a very important thing. While I see on the ground the problem getting over, I mean, maybe in the next, hardly another year, but then comes another problem of keeping a watch on these fugitives, so that there is no kind of revival, because as of now, the information that I've got is that they have people on the ground, but who are not exactly ideologically connected. So they're just kind of, people with guns. They're not going to survive this battle against our security forces. But there are a couple, about 9 to 10 of them there who can still ideologically drive there. So for the problem to be completely wiped out, I think we need to keep a watch on these fugitive Naxalites also, so that they don't come and rake up the movement. And as Sir initially spoke about this urban Naxal issue also, we need to keep a close watch on these people.
Okay, so let's address the ideological concern, because we have to draw the assumption,
Yes.
Mr. Nanjappa, that there are people out there, agencies out there, countries out there, okay, who actually want these kind of problems to be in India's backyard forever and ever, and actually get worse. They are not going to stop trying tomorrow morning or on March 31st, 2026. They're going to keep on trying to, find some disenchanted youth, give them weapons, ideologically brainwash them, tell them tall stories of what they'll become, okay, if they do this. So what do we do on that front?
See, that's what happens. The thing is, like, when an organization like PFI gets banned, the thing is, the problem just doesn't end there. Post that, is going to be a very, very important phase in this fight, to make sure that, there is no kind of foreign interference which is coming in, as you very rightly pointed out, that March 31st, it's not like others are not going to stop trying. So the challenge is going to be after that, that to, curtail it, to keep it that way. Battle on the ground is one issue. The thing is to curtail it and, make sure that it does not revive is going to be the big challenge. And that, I will tell you, is going to take quite some time.
All right. Let me get General Sinha back into this. General Sinha, so we have good news. Okay. I mean, it is, I won't say a pleasant surprise, but if you even asked me this question 2-3 years ago, I would have said inconceivable. How long before we end Naxalism, Maoism in this country? And I would have probably said, not for many decades, because it was so entrenched. We had gotten so used to it that this is what it is. We had just almost accepted it. So what do we do with the fact that there will be agents out there, agencies out there, enemies of the state out there who want to revive this and will be plotting a revival as we speak?
Rishabh, you are very correct. And India, is facing this challenge. And this challenge is there because the left, when we say left, means there is a thinking and there are, deep states, you say non-state actors, there are, interest of the people of the West also to keep these things alive. And they will never, and then we have got a very good northern borders. We have got our adversary who will also like to do this. It has, possible because of multi-pronged, attack. You have done it on naxalism, and then you have achieved this. It is not only that, security forces or something. Home Minister was talking about something. He was saying the things which have reached the last mile. People, if they are not with you, it is very difficult to do it. And today, the way the urban Naxal has been marginalized, especially, the area where they were flourishing, even in Delhi it was flourishing. And there are, I don't want to take the name, otherwise some Pedroda, factor and thing like that, the deep state. Even, people like deep states of Western countries were also the part of this. And that's why it was carrying on. See, the weapons, it doesn't come to these areas, explosive doesn't come to these areas and dropped over here. It comes through some channel. And everyone is responsible for that, who has allowed this thing to carry on. Okay. The biggest factor, I feel, is of just 1 second.
Please.
In Nepal, when we say, it is basically where the Communist Party of Nepal, Maoist, that is because the people of Nepal is now asking back that, the monarchy or, they should come back, and the experiment of, so-called democracy is more or less failed. I don't feel that democracy has failed, but it was taken over by the left ideas. And when in India, it has to be, because the prong has to be very strong, what you are talking about. That prong has to be cut, otherwise it can't revive.
Okay. RVS Mani, last thoughts to you. Same question. Let's not assume that if we have physically dealt with the problem, that there are not agencies out there who are waiting to restart a problem in the same area or elsewhere in the same format.
The deep state, many of things are getting blunted. But as General Sinha has already pointed out, there is a geopolitical area, our neighbor. Nepal, the situation has changed. Two things, whether the Nepal is able to sustain its movement for return to monarchy and throwing out this, because originally the Naxals in India started with the agenda of Pashupati to Tirupati, and they almost stretched it to that. They were almost successful at some point of time in 1990s and all that. But now, because in the Telangana and all, it was the peak of Naxalva before the operation Greyhounds neutralized them, drove them into Chhattisgarh. But now the question is, how is as long as Nepal is in the present momentum, carries out the present momentum, it is difficult for the Maoists of the communists of Nepal to shake hands with their friends and revive this, because they are busy in their own backyard. So that is the basic. The geopolitics, as long as there is a sustain, if there is a switchover, it could be a challenge to us. That's what
the point being that if you do fight back, and if you do the full spectrum of what that fight back means, that you physically work on the ground, you physically work on the infrastructure, you physically work on the development, you physically work on de-radicalization, you take on through intelligence the agencies that are operating these gun running rackets, you take on those people who are providing the ideological bearing for the continuation of this. It is possible. The fix is possible. What a happy thought that would be. And an even happier thought would be that if indeed we are done in 6 months, that in the various districts where violence at least is no longer a concern, that the state can deliver what the Maoists could never hope to. And that's on us to make sure that the people over there benefit from the peace as much as they suffered in what was in effect a war. Thank you to my guests. See you in a minute.